Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mobility Matters. I'm your host, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, or CITT. That is the agency of Miami-Dade County charged with overseeing your half-penny sales tax for transportation. Got a great show today with an amazing guest. Before we get there, though, just a shameless plug. If you're interested in serving on the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, we are currently recruiting for trustees. So we have 3 vacancies open. Just visit our website, miamidade.gov/CITT for more information. We are also excited to announce the launch of our ambassador program. So if you are a regular rider of our transit system or one of the city's transit services, we want your help. The ambassadors will be providing observations to the CITT that we can then send to the Department of Transit and our municipalities to help address some of the issues out in the system. So again, miamidade.gov/CITT, you'll find information on both of those opportunities. But what we're here to do today is to get to know someone a little better. He's been a longtime friend of mine, a longtime friend of many in Miami-Dade County, Frankie Ruiz. Frankie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Frankie, we had to debate what to call you because you wear so many hats, you have so many titles, you're involved in so many things. But I first knew you, I should say, as the founder of the then Miami Marathon, and I believe now it's called the Lifetime Miami Marathon,
Yep,
correct?
that's correct.
And you are now the Chief Running Officer?
Yeah, Chief Running Officer at Lifetime, yeah.
That's great. And as I said, you wear probably another 4 hats. I know that you're the head coach for the running club at
the
Belen.
Belen cross country team, yeah.
Belen cross country. You started and continued to run a series of run clubs throughout Miami-Dade County, and then you're also the City of Miami's Chief Wellness Officer.
Correct,
So
yeah.
tell us a little bit about all of those things and about yourself.
No, I appreciate it. By the way, I'm gonna apply to be on the trust. So
Please
look for
do.
my application.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Bad, yeah. But no, well, first off, I gotta give you a shout out. You know, I think what you've sort of been doing throughout the years. I remember catching my attention when you said you biked to work and everything. And now with this topic, mobility matters. I mean, I was almost late here. I'm sure a lot of your guests always start off saying that. So no, you're definitely somebody that I admire. So I appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
At the county. So no, I do wear a lot of hats. It's a bit confusing. I think even maybe my wife might be the only person that kind of knows every single thing I do. But no, it's I just don't say no to a lot of different opportunities. You know, first and foremost, I'm a dad, and that's probably the most important job. But besides that, I don't know. I try.
Nothing keeps you running like children.
Yeah, right. There you go. That's most of my training these days. But no, like you said, I started to help start the Miami Marathon in 2003, and since then I've just been involved in anything having to do with parks, health, fitness, recreation. I got a couple big projects on the docket now, and yeah, look, I'd like to think that I'm part of what you do, which is just get people to move and connect to one another. That's pretty much what all my jobs and hats these days
And
are.
in your case, focused on moving people the old-fashioned way, right? Which is using their feet.
Yeah,
Which
using their
the God-given feet.
Using their feet,
Which is still the best way to move, because not only does it get you somewhere, maybe a little more slowly than other modes of transportation, but it's great for fitness, it's great for the environment.
And it's great to connect and create community.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing, you know. One of my, I guess one of the biggest things I'm proud of accomplishing is back in 2009 we started a series of run clubs throughout Miami-Dade County together with Baptist Health and Nike, and those nights I just see all that is good about Miami and all the things we have to foster and nurture, which is the ability for people to recreate, people to do things for free in this case, and to connect with one another. I think that's it all. And then you start to realize that some of our infrastructure can use some tender, loving care and some improvements. So.
Yeah, it must be through the run clubs that you have met practically everyone in Miami, because everybody knows you, Frankie, and everybody loves you. You are the single most beloved figure that I've known.
I appreciate that. Tell that to my toddlers.
I will. I'd be happy to. We'll play this for them when they're ready to watch. Yeah. So let's go back to the marathon. That seems to be where this all started, if I'm not mistaken, right? So what Why did you do that? Like, I believe your background is in public administration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what you
Yeah.
graduated with at FIU.
Yeah.
So how does someone who studied public administration turn that around into starting, wildly popular marathon?
So early on, even while I was still at FIU, I had an interest in government. So I started to help in different political campaigns, both parties, by the way, and I just kind of fell in love with this idea that certain aspects of government can make events and so forth and things of that nature actually come to life. So I with the help of Javier Soto, an old name who's actually still at and now he's in Denver, but Javier Soto was the chief of staff of Mayor Pinellas back then, and Mayor Manny Diaz and Mayor Dermer. Those are some older names, but they helped me kind of together with two other partners put together this idea that sort of followed what all the other major cities had, which was a major marathon that
We hadn't had one up
we
until
did. I mean, the Orange Bowl Marathon was around in the 70s and 80s, and then had some hiccups and kind of disappeared. The Miami-Dade County Parks tried something as well, and it never materialized into being what the New Yorks and the Chicagos and the Bostons and the LAs were. And so here we are 21 years later, and thankful for all the people that have helped us along the way to make this a running town, a major city with a major signature race, such as the Miami Marathon, which we had a couple.
And we should be a running town. I mean, we have the weather, we have the
365
flat
days a
topography,
year.
right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple months where you're definitely not even wearing a shirt because it's so warm. But
I'll keep my shirt on just because no one wants to see that.
yeah. So no, it definitely is. I see folks in the Northeast and they have to jump on a treadmill, pretty much half the year. In our case, you can go out almost any time, hopefully early mornings if you're doing the summers. But no, it certainly, shed a lot of light to me that people needed good places to train, good places to walk, good places to run. And that's how I got kind of tripped up in all this stuff that you're involved with,
And we'll get to that stuff in a second, but just let's stay on the marathon for a second. What is it up to these days? I mean, how did it start in terms of numbers, and what's it grown to?
So a couple years back, we had to obviously restrict the size, and we brought ourselves back to a more manageable number of about 15,000 registrants. And we've slowly sort of been bumping those limits up. This past year, we sold out at 18,000. I think next year there might be a slight increase, but we're going to keep it somewhere in that 20,000 range. Just better experience. Our roads are pretty narrow, and the impact is still tremendous to the city. So I don't think we need to be yet 40, 50,000, which is what some of the big majors are. So that's the plan.
Quality over quantity, right?
I think so. There was a while there where we were just getting a little too big for the roads and a little too big for the park where we end at. So we're trying to grow.
I've never run the marathon or a half marathon, nor could I.
What do you mean you could?
Maybe, okay.
It was an 84-year-old man. This
who's in much better shape than I am at 45.
No, and it just goes to show that it really is never too late. Is what I'm trying to say. Like you can jump in and train 8 to 10 weeks. It's a great way to kind of be re-inspired with Miami. I mean, you get a mix of visitors, you get a mix of incredible landscapes, and who knows, cross that finish line.
Let me get back to doing the 5K first, and then we can talk marathon. But no, I have done the 5K, and to your point, sometimes there's too many people, and it's just not comfortable, right? You're like doing this. Yeah. So that's a good transition now to the run club. So how many have you started, and how many are you?
So currently in Miami we have Miami, and we have one in Weston. We have 8 total.
Weston?
Yeah, Weston. We got one all the way out there. This is Baptist Health sponsored. Many of them are powered by Nike, so we have a lot of Nike support as well. But the cool thing about it is when we started this, it only started on South Beach, and it quickly the demand was evident everywhere else. So we've got them now as far south as Homestead, as far north as Weston, and these run clubs are open and free and available to anyone during the week. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've got programming. And
where do people go to find out more?
So you can go to werunmiami.com. It's pretty simple website. It just has a schedule there, and it's every single week. I mean, we only take 2-week break, and that's during Christmas and New Year's. The rest of the time we're there, rain or shine, tropical storm warnings, doesn't matter what, we're out there. So during the week, we see about 1,000 to 1,100 people that go through the run clubs every single week.
Wow.
I mean, Brickell alone has close to 600-700.
So that's the biggest.
That's the biggest one. Then South Beach has about 150 to 200, and then from there the clubs we got Kendall, Doral, West Kendall, Gables.
That's great.
And then Weston as well. So.
Man, you got to start one in Hialeah, man. Come on,
Why not?
Let's talk to Mayor Bobo.
Let's do it. Why not?
So you kind of alluded to the fact earlier that as you've established these run clubs, it's become obvious that some of our infrastructure needs some updating. That we don't have the best infrastructure for biking and walking and running, right? So you've, I guess, gotten involved in some of those efforts, and I know specifically Ludlam Trail is one that's close to your heart. So tell us about some of those things that you're involved in.
Ludlam Trail actually was still one of my favorite, topics to talk about because it's still not completed, right? There's a small little section now that's been completed, but this was something that started, gosh, I want to say it was good 10 years plus, where I reached out to Tony Garcia, also somebody in the mobility world, and he had made it part of, I think, one of his school projects or something at FIU or something of that sort, and I said, hey, you happen to be a Belen grad, so kind of had that in common. I said, hey, Tony, what's the deal with this? And he kind of filled me in on everything. And I said, why are these train tracks just sitting there? And we kind of got together, and from there, Friends of the Ludlam Trail was formed. A bunch of great people along the way, Commissioner Sosa and Jose Gonzalez, and all these names started. We all started kind of forming this coalition, and what I think kind of paved the way, if you will, for a lot of other trails in Miami-Dade County to sort of take those kinds of initiatives to bring them and follow up with what other great cities like Atlanta had been doing, Katy Trail in Texas, and basically just went from what was almost going to be housing development throughout to what is now a 6.2 mile recreational corridor with crossings at the major intersections with partnerships with developers. It's pretty wild that this actually is coming to fruition.
So where does it stand at this particular moment, and what's the estimated date of completion for this? When will it actually be open to the public?
So basically sections right now. I think there's a couple developers on the nodes that that are required to build those bridges. So that's a big part of Coral Way and Bird. Right. That's actually the next big thing that people will see happen. Beyond that, it's going through sort of the bureaucratic process. The feds have some say in it because there was some federal money involved, and it's not as quickly as we'd like it to be. I admire Meg and everything at the underline because that's what speed is, but this one's a little different the way it all came together. So I would say, from what I hear, and I have to catch up, and I call her Commissioner Sosa, but I have to catch up with Sosa, and so we can dig a little bit here and see where we are on the timeline. But I have to say about it, we're years away from seeing, about a year away from seeing something else. To reach out to Victor Dover too to see. He's got a hand in this too. But
a lot of great people involved.
Parks and Rec at Miami-Dade County is still kind of pushing this thing through. It's just it's a 6.2 mile corridor with some private nodes along the way. So there's a lot of little hurdles. But I actually walked the portion on Bird Road across from AD Barnes the other day, and it's pretty neat to see the buildings facing the actual corridor. Yeah. It's just awesome how it's coming together.
Yeah, so I have to admit I have a vested interest in this. I'm one house off of the trail, right awesome. At the Waterway and AD Barnes where those two meet. So I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
We're gonna be we're gonna be close to being neighbors. More. I'm actually I'm temporarily moving into the Altus right there on the trail. My house is being redone, and we need about a year, so we're gonna be moving there so I can be neighbors and I can feel part of Ludlam Trail. That was the whole thing here. I didn't live anywhere near Ludlam Trail. Yeah. I live in the Grove, and I just thought it was the right thing for the folks that don't really have a whole lot of recreational amenities in that area as far as linear trails are concerned.
And by the way, beyond recreational amenity, right? This is the way I would get to work. So once this is completed, I used to bike to work via a series of back roads, and then to some extent on the underline, which is under construction, which is why I stopped biking at the moment. But once the Ludlam Trail is open, I'll be able to hop on that, take that all the way down to the Metro Rail,
Yep.
hop on the Metro Rail and get to work. So I think it's beyond just recreational. It really is a way to commute and to get around.
Yeah, look, I like to say that and I hate that I'm only referring to them as recreational amenities, but they're not luxuries anymore. It's not something that you look at in a city and say, you know what, it'd be nice if we had a nice park or a nice trail. Now I think it's an integral part of the fabric of a world-class city to have these things for both recreation and quality of life and mobility and so on, transportation. So there's no question that the priorities of this community need to focus on these things these days. Maybe 20 years ago it was kind of just something nice to have. Now I think not just because I'm stuck in traffic, but because you raise your kids here, you want to take them to places to play and recreate, and
Sure.
these places need to exist.
And you mentioned you were in the Grove, so just to give a quick shout out to some of the other trails out there. We have the
Commodore.
Commodore Trail,
Yeah,
right?
that's
You
the
involved
one
in
I
that?
live on. Yeah, I help Hank as much as I can.
Yeah.
Bayshore Drive needs some big improvements. People don't realize, but Bayshore Drive and the Rickenbacker, when you kind of combine the two, they're on
Plan Z.
Strava, and Plan Z exactly. If you look on Strava, the place of greatest mobility in terms of bikes and walkers and runners is on Bayshore Drive, which is the Commodore Trail, and it's a shame the way we've kind of done nothing with it. Several elected officials back, nothing's happened on that stretch. Not to be critical of anyone, but because this takes someone grabbing the bull by the horn and crossing multi-jurisdictions here. You've got it all the way from the Gables, crosses county sections, and it ends up obviously in city of Miami. That area needs some help. 17th, just everyone just make a left on 17th, and you almost take out a biker every time you make a left.
So what I've noticed is that you need three things, right? You need a political champion at some level of government, the county or municipality or across jurisdictions. Sure. You need an advocate, whether that's someone like you or Meg Daly or someone who starts that Friends of X Trail, and then you need community support. Yep. There are places where you've had political champions and advocates, but if the community doesn't buy into it, they'll kill it, right? And we've seen that in places like Coral Gables. To be honest. Yeah. I think those are the three key elements, and it's happened at Ludlam, it's happened, along the Underline and in Commodore. What I find though, and maybe we can speak to this a little bit, is, all three of those trails and a lot of the community support is kind of in this confined area, Coconut Grove, South Miami, on and off again, Coral Gables. How about the rest of the county? So you say you've started run clubs in other parts of the county. How about trails up north? How about trails, down south and out west in some of these suburban communities? How do we get those communities kind of to get excited about and start advocating for trails in their areas?
I think one place to start obviously is your county commissioners, which they pretty much extend throughout the entire county, is invite them to other trails and other paths and places that are done right. There's one out west now that was recently done under the FPL lines. I believe it's called the North Trail, or forget the name of it basically, but it's got even a rubber section, which that's something else. That's something that all trails should start to look into, because
better on the knees.
Yeah. Well, look, think about it this way. Like, we talk a lot about trails, but we have paved sidewalks everywhere. This community has sidewalks everywhere. Nobody's ever on them, right? You look at most of your sidewalks here, they're narrow, I get it, but nobody uses them. There's one project that was done out there, I want to call it North Trail, but it might have another name, but it's off of 137th Avenue, back kind of near the Belen area, back there under the FPL lines. Commissioner Diaz at the time, spearheaded this, and it's about a mile section. Half of that mile actually was done with rubber and some lighting. It is packed every single day. Mind you, it's next to a sidewalk, which never had anybody on there, and it's next to a road, which nobody ever walked on. So you have a road, you have a sidewalk, and now all of a sudden everybody's using a path. Why? Because it's rubber, it's more inviting, it's softer on the knees, whether you walk or you run. You can use it for biking, you can use it for your wheelchair, it doesn't matter what. So I invite, not only, don't just develop trails, but make them done right. I hope that the Underline down the road, we can see some section of it, because if not, it's just the same thing, right? Just asphalt again.
Just to geek out for a second, these rubber pads, are they more expensive to
they are more
install
expensive.
and operate
They're more
and
expensive,
maintain?
but I would say
It's worth the investment.
But people are going to use them, right?
Yeah,
Like why just do something if nobody's going to use it? So that going back to your original question, how do we get more people interested? Is we've got to take some of these projects to areas that wouldn't be as sexy or as as trendy to do. We've got a great levee system. Work with South Florida
absolutely.
Water Management District. There's one off of 8th Street that gets used heavily off the main canal, C41 I think it's called. That gets used a whole lot. But there's no doubt in my mind that this community has the land. It has the space. We just need to build it and design it right, and invite people to come. Whether it's elected officials to come look at those that are done right already, which there's quite a few already. I think this community. There was a time there where we just needed just one to show everybody.
That's it.
But I think we're getting sections done.
Project.
Yeah, there's no question. I just make these trails. They don't all have to be asphalt. We have tons of asphalt even in our parks. You drive through Tropical Park, it's got a road through the middle of it, right? Like, I don't understand why.
And maybe a stadium. No, hopefully not.
No,
hopefully not.
No, absolutely not.
So if you're in one of these communities and there isn't an existing kind of group kind of advocating for trails in your neighborhoods and you want to start one, maybe they can reach out to you for some pointers on how to do that, right? Because
I think it's easier now than ever, right? Yeah. Like you've got Nextdoor apps, you have WhatsApp groups, you've got Facebook groups, back when we started with Love on the Trail, it was just like, hey, call everybody and email everybody. Now I think you've got all these tools to really galvanize a group of folks to start to knock on those doors.
It's really what it takes.
And make these elected officials and folks at parks and so forth to see this. That this isn't a luxury. This is something that makes our community better.
Right. All right, let's shift gears here and let's talk about perhaps your coolest title, Chief Wellness Officer for the city of Miami. What's that all about?
So Francis, Mayor Francis Suarez, actually it's been over a year now. Him and I were talking post COVID, and I said, hey, now the conversation now should shift to making sure people are healthy and get them ready for the next thing, whatever that next thing is. Let's go back and get people moving again. And that's when he said, well, you know what, you're my chief wellness officer. So it kind of started from there. It was a joke at first. And then I've just become sort of this advocate with the title, if you will. He involves me on some of these projects that sort of linger and they don't get pushed across start lines. One that I'm working on is I believe in connectivity between our parks.
Sure.
I'm hearing grumblings that some of our parks are getting gates and fences, which I don't like to hear that, because I think our parks should be open 24 hours. I go on late night runs, early morning runs, and but they should be connected to all the facilities. So one example of something I've taken up, with the help of Mayor Suarez is Alice Wainwright. Alice Wainwright's one
beautiful
of those,
park.
It's beautiful, but you know what? 2/3 of it you've never seen.
Yeah.
It's behind a fence, which that's a big problem. In my opinion. I mean, we have these preserves and people can't use them. Instead, they become homeless encampments. But going back to Alice Wainwright, right now, if you go to connect to the Rickenbacker, you have this beautiful bay walk behind Alice Wainwright that was just finished with crushed stone, lighting, and guess what? You can't use it to connect to the Rickenbacker Causeway. The most utilized recreational corridor in our community you can't get to through a park that's abutting it and adjacent to it. It's a simple fix. We've been on this for years, but this is one of those things that an advocate, I guess, with the title Chief Wellness Officer, I can make the case for that. Besides that, obviously, just doing what I can to promote. A lot of it is through running. I get it. People think I'm just one-dimensional into running, but whether it's standing up for the bikers or standing up for just average pedestrians, constantly calling those things out. There's a lot of lights out. We're constantly reporting those types of things. Doing cleanups because it's disgusting sometimes to walk through our sidewalks. Calling that stuff out. So it's all. I mean, wellness is so broad. So everything that I've gotten myself involved, it's either I've been doing before, I'm just doing a little bit more of now to help Mayor Suarez in the city of Miami, which is my home city.
Okay, and finally, let's talk about Belen. I know you're the head coach there. I'm not sure what the title is, but what's going on there?
I'm the head cross-country coach at Belen Jesuit. Okay. I've been there for 21 years.
Wow, that long? I didn't know that. Okay.
It's been a bit. That's, truth be told, that's what I enjoy doing the most. I love coaching. I love coaching high school cross country kids, getting them to do something that they never thought that was possible to do. Get kids that come in and they run a 20-minute 5K, and by the time they graduate, they're running a 15-minute 5K. So I enjoy doing that kind of work. I do that about 6 months of the year. Spend about 3 or 4 hours a day with them. It's not a job that pays. It's a job that rewards in terms of what the kids do, and enjoy doing that. I spend a month with them in Flagstaff, Arizona, every summer.
Well, that's beautiful.
Which is something amazing that we get to do, and turns out the kids this year finished 14th in the country, which is a big deal. And there's 20,000 other cross country teams.
Which would imply they do pretty damn well in the state. So are they state champions?
They're state champs. They're 6 time. They just completed their 6th straight championship, and 14 for the school. So we're pretty happy with the success of the program there.
Yeah, and it opens up other opportunities for them, right? So I know that the coach at my girls' middle school, I asked them what would be the best sport for them to pursue for scholarships, right? And he said cross country. Yeah. He said cross country, you don't have to buy a lot of equipment. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities. I haven't convinced my children yet, but maybe you can help me.
It's okay. Later on in life, I always get that person that shows up at a run club like, God, I wish I would have done this in high school, or I should have done this in college. And they pick it up later in life, which is never too late. But cross country, running in general, running and walking, the most democratic of all sports. Like, it's open to everyone.
Pair of sneakers, man.
It's open to everyone. The barrier to entry is much lower than other activities. Not to say anything bad about others, but it's just an easy one, and it's a base for everything else you do. Again, it's never too late to start.
So from the kids you coach to now your own kids. So tell us about your family, and how old are your kids? And
well, I can start with my wife, because
start there.
She all this busyness that I got going on. If it wasn't for her, there's no bunch of these titles and these things that I'm doing. Carla's she works for Baptist Health, and she's a dietitian, and
people named Carla are good people, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Carla Damien back here.
Yes, but no, Carla's everything that I guess completes the whole family, because if not, the family would be a mess. Yeah. So I got my two kids, 3 and 4 years old, Paulina and Matias, and they've been a lot more than I anticipated. I'm not gonna lie. As much energy as I have and so forth, they pretty much take it to another level. So it's really forced a lot of change in my life. Let's just say,
You think you're fit, you think you're organized, producing marathons and run clubs, have kids, and they'll challenge you, right? Yeah. But oh man, what a sweet age, though.
Yeah.
Mine are now 12, and I find myself looking back at videos and pictures when they were 3 and 4. And just enjoy those days, man, because it's going to go by quickly.
No, it's going by pretty quick. I mean, it's going by quick. Sometimes you're like, it's not going by quick enough, but I know that's not the right thing to say. So.
No, man, enjoy them. Yeah. All right, so you mentioned a few elected officials along the way that you worked with. You have a background in public administration. You've been involved in campaigns. Any interest in ever running for elected office yourself?
I will. I'll run at some point when it's right for my family, and definitely right in my career, and I don't need it to make an entire career out of it at this point. For now, I'll try to be as effective as I can, supporting those elected officials that seem to be doing it for the right reasons, and that's all I can offer at this point. But I will run at some point for sure.
And they're out there, right? I mean, I think elected officials get a lot of criticism, a lot of scrutiny, but for the most part, I think people are doing this or trying to do it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think a lot of people start off doing it for the right reasons, and then somewhere along the way they lose their way. But I try to be as optimistic about their role as possible, and I do think that as citizens we have to not only call them out when they do things that aren't right, but we definitely have to give them the shout out when they do things that make the community better. And obviously, it's subjective what that is. But if there's something they've done right, don't neglect an opportunity to tell them so.
Absolutely, they need that too.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Listen, is there anything I missed that you want to chat about?
No, we're working
Covered
now.
A lot.
I do have one thing. We're working on a new project. There's an initiative in Miami Beach for the month of March. We're trying to bring fitness into the month of March in a bigger way. There's some volleyball events being created. I'm heading up at the last weekend of March a big fitness racing competition called High Rocks. So we got that in the books, and that's something that we hope will kind of solidify Miami Beach as this, sort of shining light that of recreation and sport. So we're excited for that, and
any rollerblade competitions out there? When I think of Miami Beach, the
you think of rollerblade?
image of the rollerblading. I don't know if that's still a thing.
Yeah, some people still do it. No, this one is fitness racing, which is basically functional movements and under a big tent, and with Miami Beach in the Atlantic Ocean in the background, and to be inspired, doing everything from a rowing machine to skier to wall balls and some running in between, and that is with a German brand called High Rock. So we're excited for that, and we've been working with the leadership over in Miami Beach to get this to the start line.
That's great. They have great leadership out there. Alina Hudak, I'm sure, has been supportive.
Alina's been amazing.
Others, yeah.
Alina's been amazing. We're working with Lisette and Marsha and the whole crew over there, because I think Miami Beach can use a little bit of help these days to help with the month of March.
Good. Well, as we've said, every corner of our community really needs this, and I know many are aspiring to do it. So thank you, number one, for being a guest on my show today. I really appreciate it. We covered a lot of ground, and I'm sure we could speak for hours.
Yeah.
But more so, thank you for what you do. You really are just a great community leader, and I think thousands of people owe extra time in their lives. I mean, you've added years to people's lives through all these run clubs and all these wellness programs, and that's something that can't be replicated easily, right? I mean. So thank you for that, and wish you continued success. You're a young guy, so you have, I know, a very bright future.
Thank you.
And are going to do great things. So thank you, Frankie.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you for joining us here on Mobility Matters. Again, I'm your host, Javier Betancourt. You can join us here every 2 weeks at 9 or 9:30 a.m. And just as a quick reminder again, please, if you're interested in joining the CITT as a member of our trust, we have several vacancies open. Just go to our website and apply. And also, if you're interested in becoming a CITT ambassador to help us keep an eye on our transit services, apply for that as well. Information and applications for both can be found on our website, miamidade.gov/CITT. Thank you. See you in a couple weeks.